I'm Linda Elsiegood, founder of the LDN Research Trust. It has been my honour to interview LDN researchers, prescribers, pharmacists and patients from around the world for many conditions. Thank you for joining us. This afternoon, I'm joined by Dr. Fred Hui, who is an integrative physician from Ontario in Canada, and he has 4 offices. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, hi, thank you for calling me.
Could you tell us when you first heard about LDN?
Actually, it's back in long history, probably back in 15 years ago and more. Some patient on their own research come across LDN and also bought me the book. I forgot the name of the lady that wrote it, and from England, and brought me the book, and I read through it. It's fascinating. So I end up downloaded on internet. What happened? And they have a conference at the time for New York. I had to have all the practitioners to go in and join and try to share the experience. I were intrigued enough to want to go, but eventually I know that the conference can be downloaded, so I download the conference proceeding. Interesting, I was driving to a camping trip, take about 3 hours, and by myself, and I tried to join people. And when I drove and I put that downloaded CD into the tape, when I get to my destination, when I reach the house, I stay outside the house, not going in because I want to finish it because it was so intricate and so interesting. So it makes sense. Based on that, it increased endorphins and really give that panacea of fixing so many things. And since that tape and experience and guidance, I've been very liberally using LDN for many conditions. Of course, for people with lack of first of all, like MS patients, and then for fibromyalgia, autoimmune disease, and Crohn's disease, and people that have pain or feeling down and depression. I find that when I thought of it and use it, very useful. The only limitation has been because of worry about the disturbing sleep. So sometimes I should have used it more often. Since with this interview, it reminded me that I should use it more often. If it disturbs sleep, I can easily just overcome that with giving them a little few weeks of something, the sleep aid, of natural sleeping aid to overcome it. So I should use it more often in people. In the area of MS, I'm not a neurologist per se, but like a general practitioner that troubleshoot people. I have my share of people who have MS. And the most memorable one was one time a friend invited me to go to a fancy dinner, and I invite them to dinner, and then the friend couple just on the same day to ask me, Fred, can I bring a neighbor of mine, and she have MS, and I want to difficult to get an appointment with you. I want to during dinner time you give her some advice. I was kind of disappointed and mad. I said, I'm inviting you to have a nice dinner, and you end up at dinner for bargaining a consultation. I'm not happy with it, but she bought her anyway. So during the dinner, I end up for out of the social dinner, I end up having a medical consultation over a dining room, and then she lived far away, and I said, well, if nothing else, you should use some low-dose naltrexone. So on the dinner table, I wrote a prescription and go to a compounding pharmacy to have it. And then, of course, I didn't heard anything from her. Only many months later, I got a renewal request from the pharmacy to renew the naltrexone. So I ended up calling the patient. I say, I never really formally seen you other than that time, and I should have a more detailed evaluation of you before we really give you more. But anyway, how to respond to it? He said, I always have lots of spasm. Since that dinner, when you give it to me, I have no more spasm for my MS. So that was a good testimonial. And then since then, I continue to see her and prescribe to her. That's one memory. And then cancer patients, I use high-dose vitamin C intravenously as part of my natural treatment, but how can I not think of also using Naltrexone? So as part of my regime, I tell them, here's the following adjunct on cancer management. I always mention Naltrexone. The only problem is that sometimes the narcotic doctors have get to the patient ahead of me, so I can, for those cases, I can use. If they haven't started initiate a narcotic, and I can start using LDN, I think it's responsible for some of the good success I have with cancer patients of sustaining them. I don't know which one contribute, maybe my vitamin C, or could be maybe the low-dose Naltrexone. Recently, I managed to read more about from the forum of the doctors that use LDN, and there's a documentary, an extensive documentary made on interviewing various doctors that use Naltrexone and cancer doctors in oncology, and we confirm my confidence of using low-dose Naltrexone. And the way I explain to people when people ask me, what does Naltrexone do? I say, well, first of all, it boosts endorphins, and endorphin is the law and order officer of the body. A patient like that explanation, because if you boost the law and order, cancer not going to manifest and infection less likely to manifest, and you put things into a better place, and the endorphins is also the feel-good hormone. This is how I kind of, in simple terms, explain to the patient why I prescribe Naltrexone.
And have any of your patients noticed any side effects other than the sleep disturbance?
Other than sleep disturbance for initially, some people just a few days. No, I haven't. No. Of course, I have one or two situations which I forgot or didn't know the patient is taking some narcotic. Then I have one case of very kind of significant withdrawal symptoms when the patient had to go to emergency and slashing everybody, and the people have to hold him. He's in a 70-something years old man. He has some cancer, and I was seeing it, but the people have to hold him down and put him on tranquilizer. But nobody ever relate that it was a reaction to. They think he only have psychiatric problem out of the blue, but it's not. Eventually, somehow, even hindsight, and because the doctor released him on tranquilizer and all that, only in hindsight that we realized I put the patient on this while the actual patient had some daily narcotic for the cancer, which I failed to remember or elicit at the time. So that's the major side effect I had, but it should be preventable if we have become more cautious and make sure the patient is not on narcotics.
So what would you say to a patient who was interested in having a prescription for LDN?
I think it is very good, safe medicine, cheap, inexpensive medicine to keep up the law and order. And therefore, anybody have any bodily dysfunction should use it. I also say to the patient, I have no problem. I almost, based on all reading all this, I almost want to take it daily for the sake of anti-disease in the future.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. And if there is anybody out there in your area of Ontario in Canada, how do they get hold of you?
My website is drfredhui.com, drhui.com, drhui.com. You would have my coordinate and contact. The problem is I'm a very sought after troubleshooter, and therefore when I look at a patient, I'm not only going to use naltrexone. So I hope we'll not have people just call up saying, I just want naltrexone, can you prescribe to me? Number one, I always look at the body from many angles. It's not one angle. Number two, my waiting list is too long. If it's just for the sake of getting a prescription, I wouldn't be able to kind of decently supply and mail to you one prescription. But as one of the useful tools among many other tools, I found it's wonderful, and I wish more doctors can use it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for the interview.
Do you have LDN experience to share? If so, please email me, linda@ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you.